Fata looking for some cleanup kills. Finally deploys the Dream Coil, but they
great
stayed the mech
charge.
this whole time. Misery in a lot of trouble. He'll die to the urn, it looks like, as Z-Freak tries to make it out. Maybe, just maybe, the Rubik can make it back to the well. No, he dies to the last tick before he gets the regen. Now Fata trying to orb away. He will jaunt to the high ground. He'll be the lone survivor, but Complexity completely taking this team fight. All of his teammates are down. If they can kill the puck here, it will be a full team wipe. Fata just trying to keep them distracted instead of going for the towers, but Moon, he knows better. He wants the objectives.
Man, Z-Freak played that fight so well. Like, it looked completely like Moon was going to die, but the charge came through, caught two. He didn't waste any time on the Rubik at all. Moon's going to end up dying here most likely. He's not tracked. They don't know where he is. He's got to search. All right, he's going to live.
Juking and he's jiving. He lives.
But that was, seriously, Z-Freak played that fight so perfect. He didn't overdive on the Rubik. He throws the urn. Misery had a great play to wand and try to TP back. It was his only way of living, but it was he got back to Fountain and then he died. But Z-Freak played that fight so well. So many good tracks. And he had such a rough early to mid-game as well. Now he's completely recovered. Like, it is very hard to play Spirit Breaker in a support position, in my opinion, because you have to know the limits of your hero. And he's not relying on bashes to win. He's just playing his hero correctly, using his abilities exactly when he needs to, and getting back out and re-engaging. So props to Z-Freak in that fight. I think he completely carried his team.
Yeah, 100%. And I will open up for another Roshan here for Complexity. Aegis the Immortal on the Shadow Fiend. And AC again for the Sven. Not too far away. Just needs one more armor piece. Also Shadow Blade picked up by the Spirit Breaker. So much item progression on this Radiant side. You look over at the Dire and Bone. He seems to have given
Still
up
got
on
the booster, I guess.
This, Octarine or whatever he wanted out of it, because now there's just a Staff of Wizardry.
I think the Glimmer Cape is really smart. I don't think it's that bad to divert from his item build, because Octarine, in my opinion, does very little for him. It's not a huge advantage, and it's 2,700 gold. You know, that could be a Force Staff, that could be a Glimmer Cape, that could be so many other items with gold to change. Charge on Fata here. Oh, he actually doesn't phase shift it, so he'll get the chainsaw. Yep. That's just a dead hero.
Oof.
It's a bit of a...
He didn't see it coming. You look at Dire Vision right now, and they've got nothing for
and he
that
came
whole
through
angle.
the trees, so that was a really good angle for what's his name? Z-Freak to go for the charge. So really nice kill there. Dead puck for 55 seconds, and
Envy now going to find himself in a world of hurt.
Stormbolt. Wow.
Stopped by the BKB, but just look how much damage the Sven's able to do with God's Strength and Mask of Madness.
And he didn't BKB himself, so that was a Eternal Envy BKB there. Cooldown now for 50 seconds, and they go for the push. Now, Sven won't have his ulti in addition to that, but I think that's a decent trade. They have enough burst damage where if they shut down or if they initiate on Gyrocopter, they can definitely kill him.
Yeah, and Spindle now, he's making up for that lost damage. He's got the completed Scotty, so also very tanky in the front lines. There is a glyph for this Dire side. They will have the reset tool. Though Fly still off to the side. Not as farmed as he was in the last game, but closing in on that Aghanim's only a couple hundred gold away.
He's still completely making an impact this game. I think he's doing just fine. They also have a Lotus Orb picked up on Darkseer now. I really like Moon's item progression. I think he got a perfect balance of items this game. He's got enough mana pool. He's got the survivability. The only thing you could maybe argue is maybe he should have gotten a pipe instead of a Lotus or maybe the Crimson. But his HP balance and his damage block balance is really good. And the Lotus is great for a couple reasons. There's a lot of spells you can reflect, such as Track. If you can track back the bounty, that's really good. You can reflect Rubik spells. You can reflect a Life Drain from Pugna. But the really cool one is it's a Dispel, so you can remove Track from your allies. So if somebody and he's also got the Glimmer Cape, so if somebody's dying and they're tracked, he can Glimmer Cape and Lotus Orb, and the track goes away. So it's really synergistic, and it allows him to play like a support role despite being a Darkseer.
Yeah. All right. Still the slow siege from Complexity here. They're trying to pressure multiple lanes at once. They're split pushing with Fly in the top and the other four kind of poking at the mid, but being very cautious here, not really overcommitting or forcing the issue, just trying to keep Cloud9 split and prevent them from farming. They already took out this big stack of Ancients that Cloud9 had, so even though they're not pushing that aggressively, they're still stopping Cloud9 from farming and pulling further ahead. Now Fly gets his Aghanims completed, has it delivered, and they'll further the split push. 2 in the bottom, 2 in the mid, and 1 in the top.
So the BKB becomes less and less of a good item for the Gyrocopter. He's only got 1,600 HP on the Strength Treads, and now Lina does 950 pure of that, and they don't have a grave. What's the solution? I don't even know if there is one anymore. Decrep isn't a solution, really. It stops some physical damage, but...
Yeah, I guess it can maybe keep him alive after the Laguna comes out if there aren't raises to follow, but that's even still kind of scraping the barrel. All right, it's more slow siege here. Swindle with about 2 minutes left on his Aegis. Wouldn't mind getting popped here so that he can come back to life. Though, of course, would like to keep it as long as possible.
Oh,
Envy uses the BKB again to juke the stun. Now out comes the call down. Connects on 3. Swindle will throw away the Aegis intentionally here with that second call down. Tier 3 towers down. There is still a glyph for the Dire. Now Complexity in a great spot. Ziz will use his BKB. God Strength popped as well. They want to go for the barracks. The glyph will force them to back out and reset. But now Moon comes in. Big vacuum wall, but falls just a little bit short. Big opportunity there, but can't quite seize the day, and maybe Complexity will just back out.
And Misery also stole Warcry there, so that'll make it much harder for Shadow Fiend to do damage to any core, and even the Sven is going to be a bit limited there. So I think that was a good time to retreat for Complexity. They lost their Aegis, they whiffed their ultimates. It's time to retreat and play it safe. They're already still ahead. Back off, farm a little bit. Your opponents are going to know exactly where you are because you tracked up all of them, but at some point those will time out, and then they still have to kind of sit in their base. Yeah. Maybe they should go for like a 5-man smoke right now. Just grab the smoke, move out, go for kills while they still have the track
they found Envy off to the side. He's in a lot of trouble here. He gets a call down. He does have the BKB available. Glimmer Cape just barely keeps him alive. Now Ziz and Z-Freak will be turned on. Moon Meander nearby, but can't do much to save his friends. Z-Freak charging across. Homing Missile will chase him down, but he'll make as much space as possible before dying. The rest of his team hanging out that mid lane of Barracks saying, let's go for this. They're all committed far out of the base. Yeah, Gem goes down. A lot of TPs home, and unfortunately for Complexity, they won't get much damage, if any, on these barracks here in the mid. So
that's exactly what you got to do after you defend from the base. You have to go for those kills, and they found 2 import heroes, and they got the gems. That means no more C and Viz for Complexity. That means Bounty can start moving out a bit more. They can find all the observer wards on the map, of which there are almost none. So maybe in a bit here we'll see Complexity put wards, and probably in slightly worse positions because they do have to put them on the high ground.
Peculiar ward spot here. I think they were going for that big spot up here, perhaps, but wasted observer.
That one is very peculiar, actually. Maybe they don't know about the high ground spot, but I completely agree with you. There's no point to put it there if you could put it up on the top. It might have been a mistake. Maybe he was trying to do a sentry, and it was during the team fight, so he accidentally placed that instead.
Swindle in the danger zone here, being stalked out by Big Daddy. But it will be all right for now. Full Daedalus on the Shadow Fiend. So seeing that early MKB will alter his build. Last game he went for the BKB at this point after the Scotty.
The butterfly.
The butterfly, I'm sorry. But now going for the Daedalus.
I like the Daedalus here, especially because the Sven has been lacking in damage big time. He's easily an item behind the Gyrocopter. He's just got his AC, which is great, but his damage against a single target is good but not amazing, and it's also very limited around his ultimate. His damage is poor when he doesn't have his ultimate up, so he needs to make up for that, and he needs to go for the big item.
Might find Big Daddy. They might get their gem back. He's carrying the gem. Sentry Ward out of range, but they've got another one. Down he goes.
So close.
Huge for Complexity as they can regain some map control and, of course, have something to deal with that Bounty Hunter.
That was a great attempt by Bounty Hunter to stay alive. He Glimmer Caped. It almost went off in time, but he was still slightly within Sentry Ward range, so he ends up getting killed, and the gem is recovered. And Complexity pressure's back on. Dead hero as well, so this gives him a chance to push. Oh, but a butterfly up for Gyro. That means that they can't hit him reliably, so his HP is much higher now versus physical damage.
But it also means he doesn't have buyback. He's gone all in on this item here. No buybacks available for Cloud9 whatsoever, including Big Daddy, who is in the grave already.
Blink.
Ziz with the BKB, God Strength on. They get the melee barracks, and now they just back out. They see that Envy's used his BKB. They absolutely don't want to fight this now as they've already gotten their objective.
Are they going to Lotus Orb this? Will it reflect? I'm not sure.
I think you have to have the Lotus Orb on when he casts it, not when it hits.
That's kind of weird, because it's the opposite for Linken's. They changed the way Linken's works now. But I guess it would be a little too good if you could do that.
Yeah. So I believe that's...
Yeah. So again, the Blink after in the late game scenario with Sven. But the important thing with that is it allows him to land a stun. He's been throwing stuns up, but people can very easily Blink dodge it at this caliber. They're looking for a kill, though. This is what they need to do. They're smoking out of their base. They can't initiate on Spirit Breaker. They need to grab more heroes than just that.
Yeah, they're trying to bait with Envy here, but it seems like Complexity are suspicious
of a
Gyrocopter by himself this far forward.
This is the first time they've left the base in like 20 minutes. Yeah. Of course it's suspicious when he just walks up. He's willing to farm aggressively, but it's always in hidden areas. It's never in the mid lane. So Complexity are completely reading this action from Cloud9.
Mm-hmm. Oh, now Cloud9, they take the high ground.
This is good.
He's going to walk right into it. He has the BKB, but can't even get it off. A nice quick pick on the Sven. Lena's not even here, but Misery will...
Oh,
he gets off the Glimmer. He'll stay alive. Now Swindle. BKB Requiem connects only on Envy. Phase shift from Fata will keep him safe, and yeah, he'll get surged back. He'll be all right. Fata, he did have to burn his Dream Coil, but still, Cloud9 want to continue fighting. Envy goes in, call down, connects on Moon Meander, but again, the Glimmer Cape helps him reset, and he'll be just fine.
That was pretty good damage control for Complexity. They only got the melee barracks, and they played it safe by backing off, but losing the Sven there. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication. Like, I think they were really sure that C9 was still mid lane, and they did a very nice wraparound there. It was obvious that their opponents kind of thought they were there. And, like, you can't just walk uphill like that. It's very, very dangerous because, especially if you're a BKB carrier, because you just die, and his team wasn't there to back him up either. Not that a Glimmer Cape was going to save him. I think he was dead no matter what. So a big kill, and that allows C9 to grab the Aegis. So
Aegis and Cheese. This is Roche number 3.
Yeah.
So big pickup there. They did put down 3 Observer wards in this mid lane, but the gem still on the Spirit Breaker. He's just going to clear those out.
Will they find the ward mid? Is that? Oh, yeah. They didn't actually see it. They'll probably catch that later. Jaro grabs the Aegis. Again, he's got MKB and a Butterfly, so his items are actually in a good position here. He's got the advantage over the Butterfly that Shadow Fiend might eventually pick up, and they don't have the MKB against the Gyro. Though I think Shadow Fiend will build it next. Again, with the Sven being a little underfarmed, he's got to commit the Shadow Fiend, that is, to the full damage, in my opinion. So once he gets that, Gyro will again be no problem. But until then, it's a little unreliable.
Well, Big Daddy gets a courier snipe. Minor victory there. It did have just a singleton smoke.
That's an impact. I don't know if you checked the items before you hit it or not, but that should give them the knowledge that the smoke ganks are not likely for a bit. Looks like they do have an extra one.
Yeah.
They haven't been smoking that much. It's kind of an interesting way to play. They just have such good like team play fundamentals that they don't even need to smoke. They know where their opponents are. They pressure the lane very well by themselves. They just always know where their opponents are in most cases, with the exception of the last death. But it seems like they're not relying on smokes to get advantage like a lot of teams do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely not. Though they will buy that next one straight away. Fly's already picked it up, so they will try to smoke.
There's a BKB on Lino. What the heck? But the Ags on Puck makes things a little harder. The way this works is if you cast it on somebody pre-BKB, if they BKB and run through the Puck ult, it'll still trigger. Mm-hmm. So if he gets shown here on the map, might see Eternal Envy dying.
Glimmer
If Puck shows his Ags on the map, and Complexity see this, they'll adjust their play. But if he comes from Darkness, ulties, there's a real chance of stunning all of the BKB carries for like 4 seconds or whatever the heck the huge duration is. 4.5 seconds on the break stun duration. So even though they have BKBs, it's massive.
Yep. Cuts right through. One of those reveals you want to use to as much of an advantage as possible. Z-Freak, he is the gem carrier, very far forward, but does have a Shadow Blade. Just needs to be a little bit careful. Definitely does not want to go for solo kill onto Bone 7 as Fata is in the neighborhood. Though, Sven doing the same. He comes up with the Blink Dagger, forces Fata into a more defensive position, and now Z-Freak goes right onto Bone 7. Fata's nowhere to be found, and this should be a nice, easy solo pickoff here. He does have an Aghanim Scepter, so he can keep spamming out that life drain, but it's not going to be enough. BKB used by Ziz, and they'll just chop him to pieces.
I really don't like his item build this game. Like, the Soul Booster was cool because Pugnan does need some HP in the early game, but if you're going to build all of these other items after you build the Soul Booster, what's the point, man? Like, just get a Vitality Booster and build something else. Like, he could use the Soul Booster, the Point Booster in the Soul Booster to just build an Ags. And he had Brown Boots almost the entire game. That could have been an Arcane Boots. Like, all of these items that he spent, he was probably the best performing, at least best farming on his team in the early game, with the exception of maybe Gyro. And he just didn't get that much value and that much utility out of it. And I wonder if this game could have been different. Like, he played last game fantastic, and he had a good start here, but his itemization, I think, has really hurt him this game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. If he could have gotten that Octarine, it potentially could have made a difference, but now we'll hold that thought as Big Daddy gets set up on the turn from Fata, but now the follow-up's there. He does phase shift the stun. Big Daddy gets Glimmer Cape. That'll help them reset this fight once more. Fly caught by the stolen LSA. Now he's Glimmer Cape. Lotus Orb onto Ziz. Another phase shift from Fata. Ziz will use his Warcry here.